Hello friends, welcome back to my studio. I hope you're well. We finally got a drop of rain, which my garden is so thankful for, and so am I. So moving on from last week's vlog, and if you haven't seen that, this vlog will make no sense, so go back and watch the other one and I'll leave a link on your screen. So I've just been really playing around. I showed you that color palette and I just basically put all the colors together straight out of the tube and then their mixes. So for example, that first color that I chose as Blossom on the chart, this is the Australian Salmon Gum straight from the tube. And I've done that to really give me a chance to have a visual on what these colors straight from the tube might add to the whole mix. And again, I'm still trying to mix that first color, the cloud color. I'm finding that really difficult without the cobalt teal. I haven't been able to find that anywhere. I ended up using this cobalt teal from Matisse, but even though it's the same pigment, it's not as dark as the golden. And so I did have a play around with some of this, with some of that midnight blue to give me a darker teal color. And then from there, I mixed up this cloud color, which I'm happier with than the other blues that I had. So then I just had to play around with, as I said, what the other colors add. So this is our Blossom color, and this is with adding more and more of the base color of the Australian Salmon Gum. And then I've done the same for the Alizarin Crimson. Blossom with Burnt Umber in it. This is the Blossom with the Midnight Blue, and so on. So again, just seeing what, because I'll mix colors within the painting, so just seeing what other colors I might like in there. And I quite liked this as a grey. That's what I'm talking about, having, instead of grey out of the tube, being able to mix. And then I did the same with the rose, adding in the other colors. So again, just really trying to stay in the play. And then I sorted out my colors into warm and cool, because as we know, warm colors come forward and cool colors recede. So it's good to use the cool colors in the background and the warmer colors in the foreground. Of course, once you know the rules, you can break the rules, but I just thought it'd be nice to lay out my palette in those warms and cools. And just a little bit on warm and cool, when we have our color wheel, so it's easy to think about, this is yellow and all our warms are all through here, and then all our cool colors are through here. And while that is basically true, there is also a warm and cool for every color on the color wheel. So it's not necessarily that your blues are cool colors and your purples, because something like an ultramarine blue is a warm blue. And there's a lot of contention in the art world about what colors are warm and cool once you get down into this range. But you can see here, for example, the Australian Salmon Gum, when I mix it with that titanium white, it becomes much cooler than out of the tube. So I've got it there as warm, but it's actually quite, like when you see it against the burnt umber, it's quite cool compared to that. And the same is with this color here. This cobalt teal is known as a cool color, but when you see it against all the other cools, it's warmer than these cools. So that's why it's really good to have your colors laid out like that, and you can start to see, even though something might be classified as a warm color or a cool color, depending on what you mix it with changes it. And then compared to other cool colors, it'll still be a cool color, but it's warmer than another colour. And this is a warm colour, but cooler than another warm colour. So I hope that doesn't confuse you. And then I went into looking at the surfaces. I mentioned about when I work on canvas or on the paper and how I'm wanting the acrylics to stay wet enough to blend. I decided to do a few experiments. So I did an experiment here with all of these mediums to see what would help break up the surface tension the best on the raw canvas. But I thought I'd just try all these straight on the canvas to see. They're obviously everything that you add to paint for various reasons, but I wanted to see straight on the canvas what they do. So drying retarder, GAC 100, gloss varnish, binder medium, gloss glazing liquid, gel medium gloss, and soft gel medium, and then just as an extra the Mod Podge. And you can see here the different colours and textures and the different way they're all sitting on the canvas. And so then I mixed up 3 little bottles of paint of the same colour, and I've used green in hoping that you'll be able to see it well. I mixed one with water, one with the glazing liquid, and one with the GAC 100. So the gloss glazing liquid and the GAC 100 or GAC 100. So this is used to extend the paint, and so is this, but to a glazing it's much thinner than the GAC. And so here's what I came up with the water over the dry. So this is the drying retarder, this is the water, the glazing with the paint with the glazing, and the paint with the GAC in it. Over the drying retarder, over the GAC 100, over the gloss varnish, and over the binder medium. And again, same mix. This is all the water, this is with the glazing fluid in it, and this is with the GAC 100 in it. Over the gloss glazing liquid, which was probably the worst, the gel medium, the soft gel medium, and then the Mod Podge. And I also gave it because it wasn't really moving and doing much, I also gave it a spritz of water. And this with the GAC 100 over the soft gel medium is got a much nicer, compared to this one, you know, this is quite splodgy and you can see it still repelling, the canvas repelling. This has got a really lovely blend to it. The one I liked the best, you can see these blended a lot better. I really liked this, the paint with the glazing liquid in it over the GAC 100, I think gave a really lovely, there's some different, I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but there's some different levels of this, and that's the one I'm going with. I did put them on paper here just in my diary just to see what they might do on the page, and you can't really see a lot of difference in them there, and that's sometimes what happens with these experiments, you don't get a lot of information. This is just the raw canvas, and what I've done is put the GAC 100 painted over the whole surface and let it dry. And then in my paint, I've mixed some gloss glazing liquid, a good squirt in about, I don't know, that much. It's hard to know the ratio. I just kind of, yeah, squirted in maybe 10%, 15%. Go by the guide on what the bottle says. Sorry, the sun's come out and casting a shadow now that I'm here. I hope that's still not a problem for you. So yeah, here's me playing around with that colour palette using some of the colours straight, well, not quite straight from the tube. What I did was got some of the brilliant alizarin that is in this lovely rose colour, and I just put a little bit of the unbleached, so kind of the reverse of this colour, whereas this has only got a kiss of alizarin crimson, this has only got a kiss of the unbleached titanium. And so that's that colour there next to one with the rose, with the kiss of the alizarin crimson there. And you can see how lovely they work together because they share the common pigments. And so I started with really putting in a really soft wash and really put a lot of water down. I really like this kind of texture wash area here. And yeah, it's not really anything at all. It was really about putting the colours down, seeing how the paint moves and how the colour palette works together. This midnight blue that I was using as that dark night colour in the colour palette is actually looking quite pale as I painted on. So I went out and got myself some blacks because the Mars black I had, as you can see here, the binder had completely separated from the pigment and it was a nightmare to use. So I've picked up some Mars black and some carbon black. The difference with these, this is a synthetic oxide mix. One is a little bit warmer than the other. So that's the difference in the blacks. And so the Mars black is PBK 11 and this is PBK 7. And these colours are coming up a lot. Well, they're not really colour, but these pigments are coming up a lot in those colour mixes. So what I did was I added some Mars black into the midnight blue and I managed to get a lot darker colour with that. And so it's holding dark now really well. And yeah, I really like the variation I have across the contrasts. The saturations are good and I've got that really light and dark value, so I'm really happy with that. Then I thought I'd test how it worked on paper. This is my really big Moleskine sketchbook. I absolutely love the size. This, I'm going to do the ratio on this and find out what size canvas this would be, because I've realised I've only done a few sketches. You would have seen these before, but I really love this format. And so I went in and, first of all, yeah, played around with kind of really soft glaze, throwing some glaze down. I didn't put any of the GAC 100 over the paper because this has already got a painting surface that I put on, which is made up, it's a Sandy Hester mix. It's made up of matte medium, antique white. That's the antique white there in the proper box. And just water. And I've just mixed it to kind of like a very runny cream, so you can just paint that on freely and it just gives you, so that's what the pages look like. You can see that ivory colour to the page compared to just the white that hasn't got any on it, and this one has. So I guess if you didn't like the ivory colour, you could always put titanium white, or you could put any background colour in it. But it just gives a bit of texture to the page, and I'm finding it really lovely to paint on. And so, yeah, that's what I did here. And this is where I noticed the midnight blue wasn't staying dark enough. And now my mix is much darker. And yeah, just playing around with very light washes. I didn't really enjoy it in a wash, but I went on to do a big piece, and there's so much that I'll be able to draw on from this. I'm really loving this. And it's showing up a little bit better because, you know, a camera will give you that, will bounce the light differently to the human eye. I love how the contrast and so I started with the cool colours in the background and all of these, and then I've come in over the top with some warm. And where I got into trouble before, because I so much love my pastels and I was doing all pastel, it was really hard to get the contrast and to get any depth. And you can see very quickly how just using a tiny bit of the pastel highlight colour, just how beautiful that looks on a dark background, and how it's really singing now and it's not lost because I've got those opposites there. And I also really love this depth that I've been able to get really, really easily with that. And then to finish, I just tried very loosely to do some of this veil, wispy veil that I've been talking about, so the transparent wash. But I did notice I quite liked putting it on and then dragging a rag, and I just use these shop towels that you probably see just about everyone on YouTube use. I buy them from an automotive supply shop, and you can just tear them off into towels, and they're very, very sturdy, lint free. That's why everyone's using them. They're absolutely fabulous. And I was just painting the paint on and then dragging it through to give me a bit more transparency. And up here I did it with water, really loving that area too. So I'm not sure this is exactly what I was going for. I thought I was going for a bit softer. This is quite loud, but I love it. And yeah, so because I really liked working on that painted surface, I went ahead and painted up a heap of papers in that matte medium antique white and water mix. Made a whole lot of papers, so I'm ready to just go for it. I've got things at hand and I can just really continue to play. The brushes I'm using, because I think it really helps to get these kind of scratchy texture and this sort of mark making. I'm using these really cheap brushes. Some I got from like a $2 store type of thing, and another one I just got from the supermarket where they have, you know, the pens and sticky tape, and they're pretty dog-eared. There's not a lot of bristles to them. This one's holding up better than these, but they're actually not dropping many bristles, which is surprising. And you can see just how rough. They're very dry, they don't pick up a lot of paint, and that's how I am getting this sort of mark. And then the other thing I do, which is the complete other end of the spectrum, is my Isabay brush, and you can see in contrast how many bristles are in the head. It's lovely and soft, it holds heaps of paint, lovely long handle, and it lets me, this is what I've done these marks with, and it lets me run all the way around. So I've basically done this all in the one stroke of loaded with paint, whereas these I have to continually dip in because they run out so much. But both really effective for the different uses. So as I foreshadowed, I haven't got a heap to share with you, except that I have begun, and I've already got something that's bounced back at me of very exciting, and yeah, keen to get in and do more. Part of the reason why I didn't get a lot done this week is because I also pulled the studio back into a studio space from the gallery space from the open studios. So you can see it looks very, very different to what it did during the open studios. It's really lovely to have all of my horizontal surfaces back, and I cleaned out this big trolley. I just found I just had so much in there I wasn't being able to put my hand on things. It was really time to give that a good tidy up, and just trying to give myself more space on the bench here. It's a really big, it's got to be 2 and a bit meters by 1 and a bit. It's a really lovely big bench, and it does get absolutely full of stuff. So in the cleanup, I found this little trolley that I had emptied, and so because I've run out of room of my hanging space for my acrylics, and I have bought a whole lot of new acrylics lately, so I've put them here in this trolley. I don't like the paints loose like that, but that'll do perfectly for now. And I've put my tubs in there, which helps take a lot of the stuff off the rolling trolley, the big trolley. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of space to invite in all of this new work. I'd love to hear what you've been doing in your own studio space this week. So pop a comment. Please remember to like and subscribe. It helps me so much. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely week, and I shall see you next week. Bye.